Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now.
So, welcome to this episode of Touched and Empowered. I am Katie. I am here with Ace, and we are on the epic journey of those things we were told we needed to accomplish at a certain age and telling those people to go F off.
Yeah, we do work with a nonprofit, and yes, 100%. We understand realism and authenticity because we want to be. Honestly, it's true. It's funny because I feel like, for instance, a layer of working with people and also expectations is like, oh, they're such sweet angels. I'm like, no, we're just real. We need to be real. Otherwise, people aren't going to be encouraged. So let's be real about expectations and who we're supposed to be. Air quotes.
And blowing other people's expectations out of the water. Because seriously, I mean, how many times I know for you this has happened to where someone has looked at you and gone, wow, you've accomplished so much. And you're only how old?
I wish that person was my mother. But yeah, I understand.
We always wish that was our mother. We're always looking for parental approval.
Yeah.
I know, because my son tells me that he's always looking for parental approval. I'm like, okay, you are approved for everything now.
Oh, it's beautiful. That's like the root of like where the expectation comes from. It's like our parents expected us to do X, Y, and Z.
Well, yes, and I found out from my son that it wasn't necessarily the expectations that I put on him. It was the expectations my in-laws, his grandparents, put on him. They expected him to get straight A's. They expected him to get scholarships for college. They expected this. They expected this. They expected this. And I can remember him coming home with a report card that had a B on it. And he was in tears, terrified that he didn't meet expectations. And I looked at him, I'm like, did you try your best? Yes, but, and I'm like, I'm not asking for buts. I'm like, did you try your best? Did you try your hardest? Did you learn something? Then you did a phenomenal job.
See, now that's healthy.
Because heaven knows I was not a straight A student.
Neither was I.
Granted, I also didn't go to college versus my son is in college. So I am very proud of everything he's been able to do.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, my mom did say once she was proud of me. And that memory, I hold on to that one. I hold it. It lets me sleep at night.
I can vaguely recall my mom saying that she was proud of me, but I can't for the life of me tell you what it was for. I can remember her saying something along the lines like, I'm so proud of the way you're handling XYZ going on in work or life or whatever. But I can't for the life of me remember exactly what it was I was going through when she said she was proud of me. Just like, okay.
I don't remember either, but it's still in there. It's still
Well, that's good that we at least we have some thing to reference as to, okay, at one point in time, we made our parents proud.
Yeah.
Do we remember what it is so we can repeat it? No. Does it matter? No.
Right. I remember when I made my dad proud once, and that memory, that's there forever. I was like I think I was a flower girl at a wedding, and I walked by myself down the aisle. And he was behind me and said, I'm proud of you. And I will remember that forever.
You see, no, that's a great memory.
Yeah, it's very sweet. Oh, yeah. And it's funny because because I had cousins that were around my age, and then I had sisters that were 11, 13, 15 years older than me, right?
Right.
My parents, they needed something to compare to, so that like if I was a straight A student compared to my cousin, in
Right.
college or in high school. And if I wasn't making the grades, it wasn't enough, if that made sense.
Yeah, it wasn't a shame, but it was we could feel the comparison.
Exactly. And my cousin and I were just like, let's just hang out. I'm tired of this. Like the pressure off. Like we would just hang out. Like we didn't do the competition thing. We
Right.
were just like best friends. But
Well,
yeah.
well, I mean, I joke about it because my senior year of high school, my one sister Stephanie was a junior and my other sister Jamie was a freshman. So we joke about that year being the year that we gave my mom all of her gray hair because all three of us were in high school at the same time,
It sucks. I'm sorry.
which does suck.
Oh, your mom. Oh.
I mean, poor mom, but there was also all three of us going on our own individual journeys to try and prove how we were not like our other sisters.
That's the other thing. Like just like you, I have older sisters. And
Hmm.
we're so unique each. Like there's no we're so like we might look alike in certain aspects, but we are completely our own personalities, and we kind of pride ourselves on that. I'm not gonna lie, it's great. Um, and we acknowledge like what the differences are, and
Right.
then we accept it, and then we know how to either make fun of each other or take care of each other. It did, right?
Yeah, and now I could say the same thing with both of my sisters. I can see the differences in our personalities. I could see our individual strengths. Versus in high school, it was all stop following me because I was the oldest. I was always like, stop hanging around with me and my friends. Go away, go away, go away. But I know that that was also part of my insecurity of me trying to figure out who I was.
Right, and the space is so necessary. Like what it's funny, somebody mentioned to me, if you're feeling angry,
Yeah.
that actually means like you need the space to either heal or process something. And it's okay to be angry in that moment. And think I'm going to loop this back to the point, but like when I used to push people away, I would be angry at the fact that I just didn't know who to be, because I had all these
Mm.
examples from sisters, from my parents, from my cousins, and I have like 1,000 cousins worldwide.
Yeah, huge family. Get it.
Big family. Yeah, it's yeah. Doligosa, Palma, or Defensor. Those are the three political names of my family, and it's fascinating because we still uphold specific values, but our expectations, they are pretty high as a family. When it comes to occupation or how we're doing in the world, it bar's pretty high, set pretty high.
I can look at the expectations if I compare myself to my cousins. Okay, I've got one cousin who is the head of some health medical care complex. I don't know how else to describe it, but she like oversees the entire medical care building. I have another cousin who is an actual rocket scientist. She studies the fuel for rockets to launch stuff up into space. Her sister, my other cousin, is like a 5-time world black belt karate champion who can like kick anyone's butt on the entire planet. She is like the most decorated person right now in whatever branch of karate it is that she does. I don't remember off the top of my head. We are all so vastly different. And then there's me, entrepreneur. I don't have all these fancy medals hanging on the wall. I don't have these fancy degrees hanging on the wall. I don't have all these people that I employ. But I'm learning that we each have our own individual strength. And even if I can't remember family members, aunts, uncles, parents, whoever, grandparents telling me that they're proud of me, I can at least say that I'm proud of myself because I've been able to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
It's a really honest response to that. I don't know if I can say that about myself. And that's kind of where I'm like, oh,
It took a lot of practice. And even now I struggle with it. I'm not going to lie. Because we spoke before recording that last week was a very rough week for me emotionally. I hit a rock bottom kind of deal. But yesterday I realized as to, even though I had this emotional breakdown and I did not feel like getting up out of bed, I felt like staying in my pajamas, staying with my stuffed animals, and not doing anything for 5 days. I still got up. I still brushed my teeth. I still showered. I might have only had popcorn to eat, but I at least ate something. I continued to drink water, so I was staying hydrated. So even in the midst of me being emotionally distraught, I still took care of myself. And I'm proud of myself for that.
See that? There are days where I can just have that. And then my mother calls. But
Well,
but
yeah. And you see, and I had that earlier today. My mom calls, and what's she calling me about? There's a charge on her credit card, and she wanted to know if it was from me. Okay, I have not lived with my mom in over 25 years. Why would I be charging her credit card? That's beside the point. That's what she called me about.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like it was funny because I was telling my mom like that I'll do whatever it takes to do what I gotta do. And she knows it. And like she understands that. Like I can't sell my eggs though. So we ruled that out. Only because I don't hit the qualifiers to be a donor. Can't sell plasma because I'm underweight for the requirement. So like anything that that people can do in regards to selling and receiving money, I don't qualify. So we're gonna rule those out. But it is fascinating because like I remember people would tell me, for instance, I think you know Jill Lublin. She's a wonderful person. She was one of the PR coaches back during the pandemic that I would work with, and she was incredible. She was mentioning to me how I should be applying for things or some type of credit because I was 29 to do something under 30. Like she was like, I could sell so well on that. And now I'm 31 and I'm like, oh, I missed the boat on that expectation. And that feeling kind of feels funky. You know what I mean?
But there's still things that you can apply for for accomplishing under the age of 35.
Yes.
Or under the age of 40.
Yes.
And I'm finding out there's still stuff that I can apply for under the age of 45 because I'm not quite there yet. So
yes. Yes. It's like Vera Wang, I think, made her first dress when she was 49.
Yeah, I mean, there's no timeline as to how long it takes for any of us to get anything accomplished. The only timeline is what we put on ourselves based on what we are told by others. And we can always rewrite that.
Yeah. And it's funny because there's like, oh, that was the one. I think I went through a good 6-month period of like, because I had so many and I respected their opinions and I was very grateful for their visions of me. But it was like, I'd love to see you in politics. You're a politician. I'd love to, like, you're an actress. You're going to be amazing on the big screen. You could be an all-star agent. I did not want to do that. I appreciate agents. I do. You're amazing individuals and you do a lot of great for your clients. But oh my goodness, would I be happy there? I don't know. And that's kind of where the roll of the dice is like a lot of people around my age bracket, 31, not the all stars that I went to like the page program with, by the way. Like they're doing like executives at companies. They are like they're what do you call it? Like Danny Freeman. He's a political correspondent for like San Diego at the age of like 31. Now he's in Philadelphia. But understanding that, like it's fascinating to see how people around my age bracket, we have all these skills that we learned, but what do we choose to move forward? There's an overwhelm there. And then there's also the pressure of like, you need this house that was expected of us when we were 10 and now it's 3 million to buy a house. It's like just these things that were like, oh, a
Yeah.
car.
Yeah,
Yes.
you need to have a vehicle, you need to have a house, you need to have a spouse, you need to have 2.5 children with a white picket fence. Yeah,
2.5.
no,
Yeah, that. So we're
no.
all in this like, what are the new expectations of this generation that grew up with, mind you, grew up with the landline, the dial-up, and then learned everything up until AI. Like this is
Right.
my, yeah, this is my generation of ADD beyond compare because we had to learn at rapid paces while things were moving in the direction of landline, iPhone.
Yeah. So here's the challenge.
Right.
Rewrite the script. We are at a point in our lives where, and I'm going to say this for anyone, no matter what age you are, there's no more requirement to invest 25 plus years of your life in a single business
Yes,
or
that
in a single job or in a single category of job.
Mhm.
We have seen people who are singers who have become actors, who have become entrepreneurs, who have become models, who have become nonprofit leaders. We've seen people who have jumped the quote unquote barriers between types of occupations because we're not restricted anymore.
Joe Rogan is an incredible example of that. I think that man has had like 5 careers.
Yeah. I mean, so who's to say that we can't?
That
And that
is
we can do it now instead of waiting until our quote unquote retirement and reinventing ourselves.
especially since retirement isn't at the same dollar amount that it would have been 15 years ago. The
But
market.
what, yeah, but we don't have to strive to live our life when we retire. We can live our life now. We can
Yeah.
find a way to get paid to do what we love now. And even if it is going on the journey of trying this for a year, trying this for a year, trying this for a year, enjoy the journey.
Yeah. And honestly, like imagine in middle school and high school, remember the days when people were like, you'd be a great doctor, you'd be a great this, you'd be a great that, right? And you have to
Yeah.
before you get to college, so you don't waste your life. That expectation, throw that out the window. Please
Yeah,
just get rid of
please.
that. That no longer exists anymore. We're not in times where we're at war. So we don't have like we can't be, there's no restricted path based off of what we need to do in order to keep the country safe. Like it's really important that we understand that pressure is no longer there. You can choose, you can hop. It's fine. Just do your best to be responsible with what you got.
Yeah, because and there was, I forget who it was, but I was reading an article about a young lady who was, I want to say 9 years old, maybe, when she started her own business in clothing design. And it all got prompted with the question, what do you want to do? Instead of what do you want to do when you grow up? It was
Nice.
just, what do you want to do? And, so she started designing stuff and now has I don't know if it's multi-million, but she's got a successful business from it. And I've seen people who started to have allergies to soap. And so they started to make their own soap. And now they have their own business selling their soap on TikTok. So there's no rule as to when we can start finding ways to get paid to do what we love. We just have to find out what we love first.
Yeah. It's interesting how that priority has been like, it's like, right. And I think, who was I talking to about this? I was talking to somebody who kind of just rode the wave and then just ended up doing things that they didn't expect to do, but got paid doing it and then kept going. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of people are set up in these rigid cubes that of expectation that needs to pop, like that the cube that you're in, like you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna hurt when it pops. It's terrifying once you figure out that like what you thought was gonna happen actually didn't, and it's okay.
Yeah. I can remember when I was in my early 20s, I was learning to take over a family business. I was learning how to run a garden center. I was learning how to do all the bookkeeping. I was learning how to order products. I was, all the parts and pieces because the owners were going to retire. And then they decided not to retire. And I was given the opportunity to move out of state. So I took the opportunity to move out of state and ended up working at a call center for 5 years. Was that what I dreamed of doing? No, but I needed a change of location. I needed a change of scenery. I wanted to try something different. So I know how to do bookkeeping and accounting and how to run a garden center. But is that my dream job? No.
Yeah, but the skill is necessary,
But
which
the
is
skill is necessary.
yeah.
So
So
I can take those skills and apply them to now.
that's the important thing. Like I think I was reading Robert Greene has some great books. There's this one book that I was reading by him called Mastery. And we're gonna add another thought, but we're gonna go with Mastery.
Okay.
In Mastery, it's interesting because like there's this idea of what the 50,000 hours or whatever, the 10,000 hours of like building a skill or you like having mastering your life,
Something. Yeah.
something like that, right? Honestly, it does, in my opinion, take 10 years. It takes 10 years to actually really hone into something that you can master. And that's also including time off. That's also including breaks. That's also including figuring out how to take care of the other stuff that you don't know how to figure out yet, such as bills, etc., and all of that, and living in America or anything of that nature. But if you're like, let's say, an amazing basketball player, right? You still have to account for the time that you need the rest and the other times to figure out how to live your life and have a personal life. So there is that weird expectation, like you said, 2.5 kids.
That's what it was when I was growing up.
Yeah, I think for my family, I not my family exactly, but I think maybe it was my family. There was this weird thought or belief that if you got a divorce, you failed, which was interesting because I grew up in a Filipino Catholic family
Yeah.
from the Philippines where it is ungodly hard to get divorced. Like it is really hard. Like it's almost illegal in the Philippines. But in the US, because of that perspective shift, that's what it was thought to be. And weirdly enough, I was in the generation of, I think maybe out of a class of 30, maybe 25 of the kids, their parents eventually got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I was in the weird hodgepodge of five.
Yeah. No,
Where
I get it because my mom is divorced and Brian's parents are not. They've been married 55 plus years and are still together. And that's absolutely amazing. And I love that for them.
divorce is amazing too.
But I do know that sometimes people grow apart after a period of time, and it's just healthier for everyone involved to no longer be legally attached.
Yeah, the healthy component there is important. You want healthy. You want
Yes, we want
healthy.
healthy.
Like I think it's so interesting how we're attached to these other things because of some type of expectation, yet it doesn't hone into the values that we really need to be sturdy on, such as healthy. We want healthy. We want to be authentically who we are. We want, well, not I'm saying I want. Sorry,
Right.
folks. I want, maybe Katie wants. I'm not sure. I want to be able to have the safe space to be sincere, right? Like these are the things and the types of values that I want to hold in my life. And those can match somebody. And that's kind
Yes. And the beauty is that we have the opportunity to identify what those values are now.
yes.
Versus no one explained to me at the age of 19 that it might be a good idea to know what my values are before getting married. Not that there is anything wrong with getting married at 19. I'm just saying that out there because I have my son. I absolutely love my son. There's a lot of things I would not change. But I also know that my values at 19, what I thought was important at 19, is not the same as it is in my 30s or my 40s, and probably not going to be the same as to what it will be in my 50s when I get there.
Yeah, and funny enough, now that you mentioned that also not just works on a personal level, but all the way up until government and international level.
Absolutely. Everything changes because we're constantly learning and evolving.
Exactly. And it's really important that we take a second to reevaluate. Somebody did mention one of my business mentors, his name is David Morales, freaking great guy. He mentioned to me that he was like one of my first mentors that helped me become an entrepreneur. And he mentioned that when there's a recession or a depression, the reason why it happens before a renaissance is because we need to reevaluate the values that our culture like finds important. And from there, once you reevaluate that, then you can understand how the economy can be refreshed or renewed. And those change.
And I love that as an explanation for a culture to adjust their values. But as individuals, we don't need to wait.
No, the best thing is you don't have to wait on decisions. You don't have to wait on anyone else's decisions or market analysis. You can reflect. That's great.
You don't have to wait till a depression or a recession or anything else like that before you evaluate your own personal values.
Yes. And if you are going through that on a personal level, the depression and the recession, perfectly okay. Now you know
Perfectly okay.
Reevaluate.
Right. And one of the things that I have found has been very important is a lot of people have told me that when something major happens in your life, some life-changing event, whether it be getting divorced, getting married, having a kid, buying a house, something huge that is shifting in your perception of everything, ride that out for a little bit before you make another big change. Most people tell me about a year.
Is this my present circumstance? Is that what you're saying to me, Katie? I should
No.
be doing this right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying to myself, okay? And the reason that I'm saying it to myself is because of the fact that I know that my world is going to completely change when Austin graduates college.
True.
Because right now I can still pretend to be the needed mom.
I mean, no, that'll be there for a while.
And that's probably going to be there for a while. I still tease him about the fact that he needs to come home to mom every weekend to do laundry. Yeah, no. That is completely changing. He doesn't need me as a mom anymore. And coming to that realization, okay, I could have a midlife crisis and go out and buy some kind of fancy sports car or whatever, but I'm not going to. I am going to sit and reevaluate what my values are because now I don't have a dependent.
Exactly.
He is becoming independent. So now my focus has changed. Instead of him being my primary focus, that everything I do has to make sure that he's taken care of. Yeah, I'm always going to have money put aside. So in case if he calls me in case of an emergency, mom, the bank of mom is available. But I don't need to worry about the day-to-day anymore.
Right. And
so how do I shift that?
Exactly. How do you shift that?
Best guess? Come up with a checklist on stuff I need to do every day to take care of me.
Join us next week as Katie and Ace continue the conversation. Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.